To start whenever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, I was involved with church just on Sundays. You know, in my household, we didn't really pray or openly talk about God or anything like that. So really the only church I knew was just going to church on Sundays. And growing up, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, especially, you know, once I started getting like the teenage years and I started experimenting with, you know, like marijuana and alcohol and stuff like that. And, you know, some of my friends' parents, they wouldn't like me coming over to their house because they were all involved with church and stuff. But their kids were doing the same thing I was doing, so I was kind of like, okay, well, if that's how the church is, then I'm not going to be a part of it. Growing up, you know, home life was kind of rough, and my dad, he was a recovering alcoholic. He was involved with AA and stuff like that, but he never really actually worked on himself. So the home life was kind of hostile, and you know, me and my mom and brother felt that on a daily basis. So growing up, I was just angry, and like I said, at 12, 13, I started getting into marijuana and drinking, and it just progressed. I started making bad decisions. At about 15 years old, I started dating a girl that was a couple years older than me, and she ended up getting pregnant. And ultimately, we decided to have an abortion, which kind of threw me in a tailspin. And at 16 is when I started, you know, getting into some harder drugs, and which led me to being an IV heroin user and smoking crack almost on a daily basis by 17. Around that time is when I went into my first secular rehab. It was 45 days, and you know, I did good while I was there, but when I got out, I was kind of like, where do I go from here, you know? I didn't really have a change of heart, and I just kind of fell back doing the same thing, and went through about 2 or 3 more secular treatment programs, and it, you know, ultimately I never had a change of heart. I was like 19, and I got locked up. I got arrested for a couple different things, and my mom and my dad, they kind of had enough with that, so they were like, well, we're gonna leave you in jail until we can find you somewhere to go. And that somewhere to go happened to be a Christ-centered program out in Los Angeles called the Dream Center. And it's a year-long program, and I went there, and probably about 4 to 6 months in is whenever I finally started, you know, submitting to, you know, authority and to Christ, and that's when my relationship with Christ began. And man, I tell you what, he set me free. You know, John 8:36 says, "Who the Son sets free is free indeed." And you know, I'm a living testimony of that, because I was lost prior to that. I ended up staying 18 months there, and I just wanted to make sure that my walk with Christ was going to be solid. And you know, I thought it was, and so I decided to leave, and I came home. And when I came home, you know, I kind of was back where I started in a way. You know, I wasn't getting involved with any churches. I wasn't fellowshipping with other believers, and it led me to, you know, pick up drinking again. And I ended up getting a DUI and went through all that, and finally was like, you know what, let me get back involved in something like that. And meanwhile, I was going to school for substance abuse counseling, which I'm still doing that. And I think the Lord was working, because it came up to the point in my program to where I had to do an internship, and I was looking around and I was calling a couple different places and no luck. Then I finally called Converting Hearts, and I talked to Brad and Doug, and they were like, yeah, come on. So ever since then, you know, I've just been, you know, getting more into the Word, and, you know, I don't drink anymore. And yeah, man, just really trying to walk out this Christian lifestyle. My desire to serve here is just, you know, seeing what's going on here, you know, seeing the love and, you know, how everybody interacts with everybody, and really just getting fed with that Word. The Bible studies have been awesome, and I've learned so much probably in the past almost year than I have my whole, you know, 24 years of living. And I think the difference between Converting Hearts and a lot of other places is it's not so much of a motivational speaker type deal or type of church. Is let me actually teach you what the Word actually says and the truth of the Word, and let me get you on the path to where you can feed yourself and not have to rely on pastors or people, because ultimately people are going to let you down, but the Word of God doesn't. And, you know, just knowing what the Word says and being able to understand it on that level has ultimately benefited me personally, and I'm able to go out and teach that, you know, which is what we're called to do. So I've been super thankful just to be able to understand it on a level to where I can continue to learn it myself and therefore teach other people what it's saying.
That's good.